Um, very odd H.P. Lovecraft movie. A movie I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on, Chris, because I feel like since your opinion, Jesus, this is gonna be a great show, and I can't fucking
I
formulate
mean,
a
we might
sentence.
as well just start over because I don't even think I hit go live. So,
Oh,
hey, take two.
are we live now?
Who knows? Yes,
Oh,
yes, let's assume we're live.
all right, let's start over.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show with Chris and TJ. Your horror boys are back, and we have pubes. So we've gone from horror boys to horror men, and
I don't even know what to say with that. I don't even know how to respond. That came out of left field. I didn't even see that one coming.
yeah, well, you never do. Puberty
That's
strikes us
that's what I
all.
love about TJ. You just never
Yeah,
know what you're gonna get. You just
it's true. It's
yeah.
true. I'm like a box of puby chocolate.
Oh
Anyway, we are back.
no.
With that's the worst one to bite into, by the way. It's like, oh no. Anyway, we watched another very odd H.P. Lovecraft film. We watched From Beyond, 1987, I
86,
think.
I think.
86. I was close. Um, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one, Chris, because I feel like since you weren't a big fan of Suitable Flesh, I feel like that we talked about it last, or I talked a little bit about it last week, that like this Suitable Flesh was definitely calling back to specifically this movie
Yes.
and um the Reanimator, and
Hmm.
using a lot of the same actors and stuff. So I'm interested to see, whereas you kind of felt like the artifice was kind of artificial. That's a weird choice of words. Um,
Stop
was
throwing your
was
$20
kind of
words at me that I don't understand.
the aesthetics of the last one weren't really earned for you, and I wanted to know. Now we go to the original,
You make me
and I
sound so
want to know.
pompous. I guess I
Well,
kind of am, but
well,
yeah.
I'm just saying it's the truth. Like you just, it didn't. And
it
there's no. I'm not.
it
I'm
didn't
not saying
hit. It
anything
didn't
bad.
hit as
It's just saying
authentic.
that
Yeah.
like the new one didn't feel authentic to you.
Correct.
So now we go to the source, and I'm really interested to hear how you feel about going back to this. And
Yeah.
also, I want to state something for anyone that was listening last week, and I was shocked by the horniness of Suitable Flesh. I had completely forgotten how effing horny this movie
Oh
is.
yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I hadn't seen this movie. I was probably 16 when I saw this movie, and I don't own this movie, and I haven't really gone back to it a whole lot. So I just remember it being really fucking gross. Like I remember the like eye sucking, and the like the weird monster and all that stuff, and the weird like parademons that like float around.
Yeah, the
But I
little
remember nothing
space eels.
about how fucking horny this movie is, because this movie is insanely horny.
Yeah.
um this is a another movie where this is one of those like stealth, like you could get away with like getting something that's basically like softcore porn, and your
Yeah,
parents won't know about it.
you'd probably get in trouble if your parents like found this in the
Oh,
VCR. Oh,
oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah, this is a
Like what the
classic
hell are you
example.
watching? And like you
Yeah,
feel guilty
yeah,
when you really shouldn't because it's not porn, but you're like
this is a
it's
classic
pretty
example
close.
of like the movie When My Mom Walks In, like there is like, I mean, like it's hilarious because it's like right off the bat too, like, you know Jeffrey Combs is having this big experiment, right? And everything's going wrong, and then he goes to like his assist. Well, he, at the time, you don't know what their relationship is, but you go, Jeffrey Combs is the assistant to the doctor, and the doctor shows up. He opens the door, and he's got like his chest open, and like, you know what I mean, like he's got like
Yeah.
this like hairy chest, like very 70s like sex icon thing. I'm like, and he's sweaty, and you're like, what the hell is going on in that room? And like, and it goes like hard right away. I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Also, that
I
guy
gotta
looks a
resize you.
lot. That dude looks like the guy from Sticks, like the fucking guy that's like the main guy in Sticks. I can't think of his name, but he is the Modern Man, with parts made from Japan. Um, but yeah, this movie is super horny. Um, Shout out to Barbara Crampton, because, oh boy, uh, she
Ooh,
she get she gives a selfless performance because like they were just like, well, we got this hot chick in the movie, so like at one point they get her in like this kind of like lingerie S&M kind of outfit out of like nowhere, and it's sort of explained that she's kind of mind controlled but kind of into it. It's
Yeah,
this movie
it
is
was very
very problematic.
unusual.
It's yeah, but
There,
like I
there's
mean,
there's lots of little sexual innuendos and
she looks great. Oh yeah, Ken
yeah,
Foray's in it, running around in his underpants for reasons, wearing like a football shirt and his underpants. It's just like, okay.
Bubba Brownlee. I love that name.
Yeah, yeah. Ken Foray fucking rocks. It was
Yeah,
just his birthday the other day. Shout
happy
out to him.
birthday.
Like one of the best. I mean, that dude rules. Um, Jeffrey Combs, who I love to death. We talked about him a lot in The Frighteners, and it's funny because you go back to the Frighteners and you're like, man, that's a really like weird pitched performance. But then you watch something like this and you realize, oh, that's just how he acts. Like that's just him. Like he's kind of just that way. Like he's so like everything in this fucking movie is so like melodramatic and overstaged. But like for me personally, I thought it worked like really well. Like it's all of a piece. Like it's all very like cheesy and like over the top, but I kind of loved it. Like I loved
And
how
what do you know about
insane
the
it was.
director Stuart Gordon? You're much better with
Uh
like the background information than I am.
I don't know
Uh,
a ton about Stuart Gordon. I know that I mean aside from his work, I mean I know that like his most famous films are this and Reanimator. Um I think I could be wrong. I think he got his start working. I think he was like an assistant director on like fucking Caligula,
was he
like the
really?
fucking the like Paul Guccione, like that whole disaster that like Paul Guccione wanted to make like a porno movie that was like an Oscar winning movie, and like I don't know. That's a the whole episode
He
on its
wrote
own. That
Honey, I
fucking
Shrunk the
movie.
Kids,
He wrote Honey I Shrunk the Kids. I did
and
know
he
that.
was the executive producer of Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. Makes total sense.
Yeah, it's
Directed
funny that
Fortress. Okay.
he
Writer
directed
of Body
Fortress.
Snatchers.
The Abel Ferrara one, I think. Which year is Body
Yeah, it was
Snatchers?
Abel Ferrara.
Yeah, that one's. Have you seen that one?
I
That one's
haven't.
fucking. That
I
one's
have not seen
really
that one.
good.
Is it?
I highly recommend that movie. It's awesome.
Um. So yeah, I didn't realize he died just like 4 years ago.
Yeah, he died. Because I want to say I could be wrong, but I think that Suitable Flesh was a screenplay that he was going to make into a film, and they kind of picked it up after his passing
Oh
as
really?
like an homage.
Oh.
I mean, the movie obviously is an homage to his work, but I think it's like a more direct homage than even that. But yeah, again, we go back into Lovecraft territory, and I think this movie does a great job with the concepts that Lovecraft loves to go back to over and over and over again, which is the desire of man to like go past their limitations and reach some sort of like unknowable excuse me, unknowable knowledge, you know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
what happens to your brain once you get to that point? I think this movie does a pretty good job at illustrating that. And I think this movie also um not only does it obviously I think it's kind of funny that it even has like in the title like it's HP Lovecraft's From Beyond because it's
Yeah.
again it's a very loose adaptation of the film or out of the book, the short story. This movie definitely took a lot of influence from Hellraiser. Like this is I felt like this movie was like I don't know, like I think Hellraiser came out a few years before this, but like it felt like they wanted to take H.P. Lovecraft and the Hellraiser thing because the doctor once he's like mutated and like he's like he wants to experience like sexual gratification on like the weird like XY axis that he experiences now. Like that to me felt very Hellraiser. And
I could
again,
see that.
it's kind of a cycle, right? Because who is fucking Clive Barker influenced hugely by H.P. Lovecraft. So it's one of those things where it kind of everything kind of feeds into each other. You know what I mean? Like, so again, this was your first time viewing this. What was
Yeah.
your first takeaway, initial takeaway?
Um, I again another like it's funny that you said that H.P. Lovecraft last week was a sexless freak because his
Oh
movies would
yeah.
indicate otherwise. Well, I
Oh yeah.
mean not
Well,
his
again,
movies, but
I
like
read the short story from Beyond because it.
yeah,
I mean, again, it's not that long, but there is no sex in
yeah,
that book at all. I mean, again, I can't even think of like any substantial female characters in H.P. Lovecraft's work, and certainly not any like homosexual characters. Like
yeah.
there's all men, but they never have sex. They
Lots of, I mean, like we've discussed this before. Like 80s horror or at least slasher. This isn't so much slasher, but um it's synonymous with sex in some way or some
oh
kind of
yeah,
horniness
yeah.
or perversion, sexual perversion. Um this definitely had a lot of that. Uh yeah, I love this movie. I thought it was great.
Okay, all right,
Um
good, good.
yeah, I was not disappointed. I again, this is right in my wheelhouse. I love 80s and the monsters, I thought for me
Looked
elevated it to a
awesome.
different level.
Oh my
Um,
god, yeah. Especially the doctor, I already forgot
oh
his
yeah.
name. But like his like constant mutation, like he
Yeah.
looked so fucking gross the
Yeah.
entire time. Like I loved it.
It's
And then they
actually horror like nightmare inducing stuff that I could
oh yeah.
see as a kid or a young adult like having like trouble getting to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Um
And I was stupid enough to eat while I was watching this movie. And the part at towards the end of the movie where Jeffrey Combs like Jesus Christ, look at that.
yeah.
Well, Jeffrey Combs has his weird little like space penis pop out of his fucking
Oh,
head. Like that
right.
shit is so gross. Like I
Yeah.
was like, I just stop eating. I'm like, I can't look at this. Like it was so nasty. Like,
Yeah. The space forehead penis is really disturbing and they they like went with that.
ugh.
That was a good portion of the movie,
Oh
and
yeah,
you can't take your
yeah.
eyes off of it. It's
Because
just
the doctor, his hypothesis is the penal, I think it is the penal gland in your brain is like a conduit to the other world, and then that like becomes like engorged and pops out
yeah.
of your forehead, and then you basically are experiencing reality on like an entirely different level. um Also, Jeffrey Combs is just a freak in this movie. Like he looks, especially like towards the end, he just looks so fucking weird. He looks like
And
fucking Maynard from Tool. Like,
I'm just gonna play and pause throughout this segment here because this particular monster was one of the best ones in the entire
oh
movie.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I was trying to figure out how they were able to get his head to pop out. I know it's like prosthetics, but how are they were able to get his head to pop out of this long neck that
Yeah,
you
it
see?
looked cool.
It looked really
They
cool.
they
But
did a really good job.
okay, like you were mentioning Jeffrey Combs too. I know he's not supposed to be the villain film, but I feel like it doesn't matter what film he's in. There's just something about Jeffrey Combs that gives off
Yeah,
villain vibes.
yeah.
it's
Well, and like, yeah, and this movie is like so weird because like they kind of place him as like the hero, but then he's also kind of fucked up because like he went along with the doctor. Like he knew the doctor wasn't like a good person and went along for like I don't know science's sake, I guess.
right.
But like when the end when he like totally turns and he's like eating people, I don't know. I felt like there's like an air of like, well, maybe he does know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean,
then the way he murders people by literally just sucking their brain out through their
oh yeah.
eyeball is like one of the
Yeah.
grossest things I've ever seen.
This was
Like,
pretty gross too. This like face pulling sucking scene. Uh
oh yeah,
that there's a
look
lot
at
of
that. I mean, it's
yeah.
disgusting. It's like they did such a good job. Like this is just absolutely disgusting. Like everything about this movie is fucking disgusting and slimy and wet
It's
and
gross
just
on a
like
level of not bad taste. What was the other one that we watched? Peter
oh,
Jackson.
Dead Alive.
Dead Alive, yeah. Lots of slime. Like people
Yeah,
are
but it's not
constantly
funny. It's not. It's like
no,
it's
not at
not
all.
funny like Dead Alive. It's like gross and just tries to be gross. I mean, we're jumping all over the place. But when Ken Foray gets it, like at
Yeah.
the end. Also, his death is very confusing to me because like he's like shining the flashlight and that's not working, but then drops it and then like sacrifices himself. I don't know. It's a very confusing scene. I don't understand.
Yeah.
There wasn't something not communicated to me in that scene, but yeah, I mean, this movie goes out of its way right from the jump to be like the grossest, like most tactile thing you've ever seen. Like pretty astounding to be honest.
I'm gonna
It's
show
definitely
a quick clip of poor Bubba that I might have been the best part of the movie for that TJ just referenced. But what are these little things anyway? Are they flies? What are they
yeah,
supposed to
they're
be?
I think they're supposed to
Or is
be
it?
like I think they're like outer worldly flies. Like I
Look at
think. I don't
that.
know.
Ah,
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Like
look how
and I love
brave
the
she is
fact
to
that
go
he's
over and try to console him.
right. Yeah. Yeah. You'll get back. You'll be all right.
And I was telling TJ I had to pull these two images together because immediately in my head, if you've seen Mr. Show before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see this. The kid from what was it, Titanica in Mr. Show
Titanica.
when he
Yeah.
the burn victim looks. I mean, that's the first thing that popped in my head. Except the mood is slightly different from one to another,
Yeah,
but yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
Also, like you can't see it, but the way Ken Foray's like hand still moved and stuff
Oh
after
yeah.
he's just been like literally picked clean. Like it was great.
It, there isn't much to dislike about this film, especially if you're a fan of Jeffrey Combs. He just gives such a good performance,
Yeah,
and it's one of those movies where I find that you know even if I think it's intentional, um, even in parts where I don't think it's supposed to be, it's just slightly disturbing. Like, so you always feel like something's a little
oh
bit
sure, sure.
off,
Yeah,
like and uncomfortable. Um, and maybe a lot of that has to do with his sexuality, the
yeah,
horniness in
yeah.
this movie. Like the horniness is off the charts in this.
It's
Uh,
super off the
it's hard to
charts.
even
Like
just can't even put it into words. Like,
yeah, like at a certain like I loved when they go back to the house where they are conducting the experiments and they like one of the first things they do is they find like this like porno tape that the doctor had made and he's like he's a pervert like he
yeah.
does it's like oh, it was necessary to show that I guess like
Or what about when Bubba had his little, not even Teddy Whities, he had his Speedo on.
yeah,
Like,
he's literally running around in his like football shirt and in his like underpants for some reason. It was just like, okay, like
yeah.
that was weird. And then yeah, again, like Barbara Crampton, who looks fantastic. Shout out, pervert squad in the house. But I mean, she looked great. Like, there's that scene where like she's like trying to seduce Jeffrey Combs for
See if I can find it.
reasons, and then I mean, you might want to be careful. We might get
Yeah.
taken down.
I'll
But
do like quick 2-second clip just to give a
but then
taste.
like there's also like again going back to the disturbing part like the doctor is basically threatening to like r word her but like it's gonna like it's very odd but then some of his consciousness I guess influences her. I suppose that's what's supposed to happen. I don't It's kind of confusing. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the character motivations are a little off in this movie to say the least, but it's all of a piece, right? Like it all ends up working out at the end because like it's so again very like over the top and out there. Like I thought the one of my favorite parts of the movie is so after everything goes down and like you see Jeffrey Combs, right? Like he's a freak, he's got a fucking like space penis growing out of his head. She takes him back to the hospital and they're like, oh, you're crazy, like what, can't you like use your eyes, like
Yeah.
she's obviously like telling the truth and their like solution is like, oh, you're fucking crazy, so we're gonna give you like shock treatment and like basically lobotomize you.
I,
It's like the decision to do that is in like a half a second. They're like, oh shit, yeah, just fucking just lobotomize her right now. Like what?
the 80s were
It's
different, man.
It's fucking great
They-
too because the guy that's like holding like the fucking like shocking rods or whatever,
yeah.
like when Jeffrey Combs starts killing everybody and the doctor's off to run away, he's like, "Aw," He's like, where are you going?
The
Like,
the, the 80s were like the Wild West of medical experimentation. You could just do whatever
yeah,
you wanted to do.
yeah,
Um,
just
so what I loved about, especially about the space forehead penis, um,
yes.
I guess we could call it a third eye, but I'd rather call it a forehead penis. The
No, space forehead penis is much better.
When it first appeared out of his head, he was like, like he had just seen God. He was, and I think the quote was, "So beautiful,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and this is literally what he saw.
Right, right. Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's like pixelated,
I would love to know what
over
that
like
actually like.
slightly oversaturated colors.
I would love to know the screen direction in the script for that. Like, what
Yeah,
did whoever wrote this, like, what did they think when when they wrote that? Like, what kind of effect did they have in mind? Because it
yeah.
wasn't that. I'm sure it's like I don't fucking know. Let's just put it under some weird filter and call it a day.
No one's gonna say anything. Yeah, maybe in
No.
25 years they will if somebody has a podcast, but screw those
Yeah.
guys.
Also, what's a podcast?
All right,
Uh,
let's move on. Let me see what the next topic is. All right, you ready?
mhm.
Uh, horror horny
Oh,
scale. There we go. We already
oh,
kind of covered that.
the horniness is through the roof.
On a scale of 1 to
Uh,
10, TJ, what would you say?
I would say this is like an 8 because I feel like Suitable Flesh is even hornier than this,
Yeah,
but this is still pretty high. This is still pretty because again, like a lot, like the plot kind of revolves around horniness, right? Like the entire the thing is with the doctor, right? Like he and this is again ties back into like the Hellraiser comparisons, but like the doctor, he's not just trying to get eldritch knowledge or whatever. Like it seems like he's doing this to get like another kink unlocked. You know what I mean? Like he's doing this so he can come harder. Like he can come in the fourth dimension. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like so like in a way
You're
it's
not
very horny.
interested in that? I mean, that seems like a goal that
I
is
mean, I'm pretty
that
content.
TJ should work towards
I'm pretty content. No, I'm very lazy. I'm pretty content with how I come
in
now.
this
It's good.
in this dimension. Okay,
Yeah,
fair
I'm
enough.
fine with it.
All
I
right,
mean, maybe it's like way better, but I don't know.
all
I
right.
feel like the more dimensions you go into, the messier it's
Oh,
gonna
we
be.
just lost our 2 viewers. Okay, so all right, moving on. Jeffrey Combs.
Dude's
TJ,
amazing.
just I know that you have an absolute love for Jeffrey Combs, which
And I mean, you
and
can see why. I mean, I feel like
yeah,
it's all on the screen, right? Like, there's just something about him, man. Like, he's so weird. Like, he's got such an odd, like, charisma about him.
yeah,
And, like, this movie, like, he's like this weird, scared, autistic man in this movie, but they make him the hero. And like at the fucking end of the movie, when he like, and this special effect was great too, when he is like kind of rebirthed out
yeah.
of the fucking mouth of the bad guy, like that shit was fucking wild. And like, I don't, there's just something about Jeffrey Combs, man. Like he's a guy that I wish was in more movies because he's just so out there. He's such odd sensibilities in
Let me
all of
see
his
what the
characters.
so he. I'm just trying to catch up with what he now. Um, he last year. Oh, he's a voice actor. He did Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham.
Oh,
Uh,
that's the like the like steampunk
oh, is that what it
Batman
is?
thing that they did.
Uh, and he did a movie called Scream, or it's did it already come? I think they're looking for financing. Well, if it does come out, he's Mr.
There you go.
Lockwood.
We will we'll finance it. We'll give him like $50.
Yeah, it seems like he's doing a lot of voice work.
Well, he's got a great voice. I can see that working out.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about Mr. Combs now? You've seen him in 2 films so far.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's great. I I'm not gonna lie. Part of the appeal is like there's something disturbing about him that draws me in. Like,
Sure, of
and
course.
I can't stop staring. This sounds so weird. I probably shouldn't
Yeah.
say this out loud. I
Oh
can't
no.
stop looking at his mouth. You notice how he like does something weird
Yeah.
with it,
Yeah.
it like shifts, the bottom jaw shifts back and forth when he talks. And I
Yeah.
don't
He
know if
talks. He talks like it. Yeah. He's got like a weird like mouth thing going on. Yeah.
yeah.
I definitely noticed that.
Um but he's just it's almost like he was born to do horror film.
Oh
Uh
yeah. Yeah. I agree with that completely.
there's just like you could see there's like a deadness behind those eyes. um in the kindest way. I say that in the
Yeah. No.
most,
No. No.
yeah,
Absolutely.
flattering way possible. That's not an insult. That is, I'm saying that as a term of
And
endearment.
he's
Like,
such a weird. He's such a. I mean, I guess technically, Barbara Crampton is kind of the lead in this movie, but like they're. I mean, they're kind of. It's kind of a two-hander, really. I guess,
yeah,
but like he's such an odd person to like kind of put the movie on. Like, but it works. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, he's just got such an.
Look at that
Like I said,
mouth.
such a strange way about him. Yeah, he moves his bottom jaw a lot when he talks.
I
It's
guess you
very
could
odd.
also classify him as, I mean, this is not an insult either. I'm not going to
You know it's
try to
good
make
when
it
you
an
have to
insult.
you know
You
it's good
got
when
bro.
you have to preface that, but yeah.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Is there like quite a bit of overacting here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Everyone is overacting. The
yeah.
whole movie is
But I mean,
overacting.
Jeffrey Combs in particular, like
Oh, he is. Oh
it's
my
over the
god.
top, but I love him for it.
It's fantastic. Like, oh
Yeah,
my, the first like 2 minutes when the experiment is going wrong, he's just like, oh, he's like he looks like a cartoon character. It's
yeah.
amazing. I love it.
And this is like this is the same Jeffrey Combs that you see 10 years later in The Frighteners. Like he's just as weird, just as
Oh yeah.
eccentric. I mean, he's got like this kind of role that he sticks to or has been pigeonholed in, but you know, uh, he's gotten
And
quite
you
a few
could.
movies out of it. So good on him.
And the thing is, like, it's cool that Peter Jackson, who obviously is like a huge fan of like this era of horror movies, like he obviously watched these Stuart Gordon movies, and that's why he put Jeffrey Combs in the Frighteners. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
perfect casting in that for that weird ass character. But yeah, I love the guy. I think he's great. I think that he is one of these like kind of 80s horror mainstays that like
yeah.
he's like a cult classic kind of guy that horror fans love, and I think it's pretty obvious why. Like I think he's got such an interesting charisma and screen presence that like I just think the guy's the best.
So
He
in
rocks.
terms of the Jeffrey Combs movies that we've watched two, The Frighteners and this one. You've also, I mean, we've seen Reanimator. Where
I've
does this
seen
fall in
Reanimator.
line of Reanimator, From Beyond, The Frighteners?
So this is going to be a hot take, but I think the Frighteners is probably as far as his performance
His
goes, the
performance
Frighteners is
specifically.
the best one.
Yeah,
Like I think out of the like the movies that's like not the Frighteners, I still think Reanimator is probably the best out of those other ones.
mm,
But I mean the Frighteners is just really fucking good. But I also think that the script for the Frighteners is just really fucking good too. Like it's the perfect like confluence of like a really good script with perfect casting and like a great director, right?
yeah.
Like it all came together really really well. And Peter Jackson's smart enough to know how to make an actor play into his strengths, and I think that's why his performance in that shines so much. I mean, I go back to that scene where he is explaining all of his scars and all the like trauma that he's gone through, and that shit is amazing. And it's played
Yeah.
basically straight. Like it's not like, I mean, he is hamming it up a little bit, but it's basically played as like this character is completely damaged, and like it's not played for like a laugh.
That
And I think
monologue
like
floored me. I was just like,
it's so good.
where did that come from and where is this going?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, again, like it's because you know, Peter Jackson's really smart and knew how to use Jeffrey Combs. And not that Stuart Gordon didn't, but like I feel like there's a little bit of a skill level difference between the two, and I think especially in the writing. But also that is a little disrespectful to Stuart Gordon because I don't think that I think that his films, there's an intentionality there. I don't think that these things are overacted as an accident. I think that he knows what he's doing. I think that this is it's not you know what I mean? Like it's not like these things are overacted not because they can't act. It's because that's what he wants. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think that they want over the top. They want like campy and like I mean, look at these effects are great too.
Yeah.
I think that might be our last talking point if I remember
I
correctly is
it,
the
it
effects.
is. And I would say the effect, well, the effects we didn't even make. Oh yes, we did make a talking point, but I forgot to make
That's
a
fine, but
graphic for
I
it.
think that the visual effects are great in this movie. I think they look really cool. I think they do a great job at conveying like the outer worldliness of like what they're dealing with. Like, because the doctor, the monster that he is, you already made reference to it, but like he's so fucking like I don't even know what the fuck he is. Like, he doesn't look like anything. He's like this weird mangled pile of like flesh. Like he's just this odd looking thing.
You don't
And
even really
again,
get
like
to know the Doctor,
no,
really, other than being a monster in real life and a monster
yeah,
in the
and a pervert.
afterlife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because I mean, technically, the character that comes back isn't like really him either. Like that's it's some other thing from beyond or whatever that like the title. Uh it because like, he does say that it's like not really him anymore. It's whatever this entity is that's kind of taken him over. So it's not like it's like he's in there, I guess, but it's not really all him.
yeah.
Um,
And
but yeah.
does he have some Jeffrey Combs characters kind of allegiance to this Doctor? I couldn't really
Well, I
gather
mean, they
from.
talk about it briefly in the movie. Like he basically is also like in it for the love of the game, right? Like he's a scientist. He's invested in like exploring this thing with the pineal gland. There you go.
Got the
Oh,
eye.
oh, it's so
What a
gross.
waste of an eye.
So
But look at all the
disgusting.
prosthetics on his head. Hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, it's flapping around and like, but yeah, his character is just he's a devoted scientist, and he's kind of like the ends justifies the means kind of situation where I think he understands the doctor is not a good person, but he also is like just obsessed with going past this human limitation that we're at.
Yeah.
At least that's the way I took it. That's the way it is in the short story too.
All right. So with that being said,
Scores.
yeah, you go first. I'm
Uh
curious to hear what you have to say.
This is a 8.5 for me. I really like this movie a lot. It's a lot of fun. This is a good Lovecraft film. Like a very not a strong adaptation as far as like staying true to the source material, but like true in spirit to like what Lovecraft like cosmic horror is. And again, like it's interesting, just like with the last movie that we watched. It's interesting the thing that the wrinkle that they add is sexual. And again, I think that that has direct ties to Hellraiser. I'd be shocked if it didn't, because it felt again like watching this movie was like, oh, that's the Hellraiser. Like it just felt like hell
Yeah.
because Hellraiser is like the horny Lovecraft movie too. Like Hellraiser is very fucking horny.
Yeah.
Um, that's why the new one, the remake that they made last year was so fucking bad because they took out all the like weird kinky sex stuff, and that's like crucial to that movie.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love this. I thought it was great. It's a fun watch. It is over before you know it. Like this movie is like propulsatory, right? Like it starts and then it's over. Like there's no like sogginess to this movie. The movie doesn't give you any time to like think about anything because it just keeps moving at like a blistering pace.
Like
And
a
Barbara Crampton's hot, so good for her.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 8.5 for me. I loved it.
Nice. I'm gonna go with the 8.1. I really enjoyed it too.
We
Um
have a cat on the podcast now
aw.
because she
Let's
doesn't she only
go
wants to jump on the damn bed and be annoying when I'm talking.
you want to
So,
introduce her
this is
to
my
your
cat Hella.
Ella?
This is she's a booger. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Chris. Your score,
Is she
please.
shy? She is.
she doesn't. I mean, it's hard to tell
Yeah.
a cat to look at the screen. Oh,
Oh,
there you
she
go.
did it.
Hey,
She's addicted
good
to the
job.
limelight now. Look,
Yep,
can't
I
even look
know.
away.
Now she's
Staring at me.
fame has ruined her.
um, yeah, I would definitely recommend this to a small niche group of friends who I think would be into it. Um, this is not a first date,
I would
second date,
recommend
third
this
date.
to horny 15-year-olds that
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Not as an adult, I wouldn't recommend it to a teenager because that's
But that is
that's
kind of weird.
unethical
Yeah, good point. Yeah. I
and
might
probably
I might
probably
leave the
illegal.
blue might leave the Blu-ray out on the on the table. You guys do what you want with it.
Um, yeah, it's I absolutely like thought that all the performances here were great. Like all the actors were
Wait.
so good, uh, each in their own way. And the shining star of this movie for me was Bubba. I just freaking love
Oh yeah,
Bubba, and I
Ken
wish,
Foray, man.
yeah, I wish Ken Foray was in it more. See his
And
little bit of
I
his head
love the
right
fact
there.
that he's like, I used to play football, and it's like, okay, so
Yeah.
like, it's like what?
Just had to throw that in there.
I mean, he is a big guy.
It's
I
part of his
met Ken
resume
Foray. I met Ken Foray years ago.
at a
Nice
HorrorCon.
dude. Yeah, actually at well, I was at a comic book convention and we walked with I can't remember the name of the cop, the actor's name, and the helicopter pilot from Dawn of the Dead.
Oh,
They
really? Oh,
walked
that's cool.
they walked the Monroeville Mall with us, and they were telling us stories about shooting Dawn of the Dead. It was
That's
fucking
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, and
Great.
Ken Foray's super sweetheart of a guy. Like he was very nice. Like answered everybody's dumb questions. Like was very pleasant. Like just a cool dude. And like again, like he's like a horror legend because he's in a lot of different like horror movies and stuff. But he's a very nice guy.
All right, so there you have it. 8.1 from me, 8.5 from
It's a
TJ.
pretty high movie.
Yes. All right, so let's talk about next week.
Ne- Next week is The Offering, a
Sure
movie
is.
that like I don't know much about, but I watched the trailer after you told me that you were interested in reviewing it, and it
Yeah.
looks good. Also,
Th-
this poster, banger. That's a great poster.
Yeah. So this is mine and TJ's MO every week right before we do these lives. It's like,
Hmm.
oh shit, what are the topics going to be? Oh shit, what are we going to review next week?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
rushing to watch trailers as quickly as we can. And this one, yeah, the offering seemed pretty good. So
It
I'm
looks good, and
excited.
that's a great poster.
It is a good poster.
I know we talked about it too, but as soon as it becomes available, like I really want to watch that stop motion. I keep hearing like a lot about it, so that's a
Yeah,
big one on the horizon. At some point, we're gonna watch. So,
done. All right.
but yeah,
So
awesome.
there you
I'm
have
looking
it.
forward to it. All
All right,
right,
everybody.
everybody, that's the show. I'm gonna go make some dinner. I'm
Do
very
it.
hungry. I'm gonna try not to think about that little space penis sticking out of his head while I eat.
Yeah, good luck.
It was I was seriously trying to eat when I was watching the movie, and I had to like put my food
That
down. I
is
was
so
like, "This is
disturbing.
disgusting.
Uh,
It's just so gross."
and the doctor that was trying to like pull it out of his forehead with the little
Oh, I know.
pliers.
Oh God. Oh God. Yeah. That.
I felt like that
Oh, that
scene lasted forever.
it was
Forever.
nasty.
It's like
It
just
was
grab
so
it.
fucking. It was
All
so
right.
fucking nasty.
Anyway.
Oh,
All right,
and also his
everybody.
head was like concaved in.
Ah,
Like,
I can't. I can't.
ugh.
Disgusting.
All right,
Um,
everybody. That's the show.
see ya.
This is me manipulating the
See ya.
airwaves.
No, it's working.